That sounds good, doesn't it? Awesome. Okay, right. Nutrition, the basics and the challenge. So this is the first seminar of several that we're going to do throughout the year. So this is not really like a short-term one-off thing that I want to do. I want for you to focus on this for the rest of the year. And obviously people have got different goals. We've got fat loss. Some people are training for performance. So obviously Julia looking to do a triathlon, a half Ironman at some point.
I know.
So yeah, different goals, and that's fine, because what we're going to do is to start with do the basics, and then later on in the year, once we've got the basics nailed, we're then going to move on, and then we can talk about what do you do if you're training for a triathlon, carb loading, you know, all of this thing. What do you do if you want to actually just target fat loss a bit more than what this is going to give you? And then the other one would be strength. I don't think anyone's really specifically training for strength. So, but what you eat is really, really massive. And I've been through loads of stuff with nutrition personally. And I remember when I really sorted out my nutrition and I saw my mates, again, who I hadn't seen for about 1.5 years, 2 years, they all said I looked younger. So, and that really was, and I had a pretty stressful job. I was at Hereford, so I was deployed a lot to Iraq, and so I had done a lot and been quite stressed, but because I'd sorted out my nutrition, it really affected me quite a big way. And obviously my performance got a lot better. I was leaner and all the rest of it. And then more recently, I've got a bit more into what am I intolerant to? So what does my body not really digest very well? And the outcome of that is that I just don't bloat anymore, which is really amazing, because sometimes I would eat a lot or eat something and just feel just uncomfortable for ages and fart, as my mum can probably attest. There's quite a lot of that goes on in our family. And so, you know, like that's quite nice not to have smelly farts anymore, quite frankly. So yeah, is there anything like that anyone particularly wants to get out of this, or are you just kind of interested to see what happens?
I get a lot of wind.
You get a lot of wind. Let's all talk about how much we fart.
Flatulence in my household. Yeah, I hate to say the butt joke, but yeah, I feel constantly bloated. I don't feel tired because, as you know, I've given up smoking and given up drinking, so I feel great. But I think for me, it's definitely targeting that baby weight that I still am carrying from having 2 children in such close succession.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Baby weight. Anybody else got anything they want to specifically think about? No? Cool. Anybody not fart? Didn't think so.
If you like, never did.
Okay, right, cool. So I'm going to start off then with this little quote, which I have used for ages since I started looking at nutrition. So it's by Hippocrates, who is a kind of ancient philosopher from thousands of years ago. And he was the first person who is recorded sort of realizing, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So food can actually be used to clear up certain conditions without going into too much and claiming that I'm any kind of expert in actually using food as a medicine. And if you're eating that medicine all the time, that can be your food rather than it be something that actually causes an irritation in your body. So I just find that like quite profound personally, that 3,000 years ago or whenever this guy lived, that they knew this, yet still we don't really think about it today. When we're eating our day-to-day things, we're just like, we need to get full, we just need to eat something to be full, and that's all we really care about, rather than what we actually getting from this food and how like amazing it can actually be if you sort it out, because it's a big deal. And like people, you know, they don't know. And I was just Googling that quote just to make sure I got it right, and this popped up, which is some research done by on folic acid, which is in vegetables, and it's about you know, basically, you know, just doctors' nutrition knowledge is rudimentary, and we're still relying on drugs as a society rather than thinking about food first, when actually we can use food. Like, we can actually use food. It's like very strong anti-inflammatory. Rather than having an anti-inflammatory drug, we can have some ginger or some beetroot, and we can eat that all the time, and we're always going to get those anti-inflammatories. And that's just one example. There's so many things. Or you can pop, you know, folic acid supplement, or you can just eat vegetables. So, you know, you obviously get a lot more from these things. There's loads and loads of problems with nutrition, but the main thing I want to do is keep it simple and just give you a bit of knowledge about it. I want you to be a bit smarter. I want us to think about it a bit smarter than just point systems and calories in, calories out. There's tons and tons of rabbit holes we can go down with it, like eating keto, veganism, and veggie, eating meat. Is it good? Is it bad? Obviously, loads of those are emotional to a lot of people. I'm never going to give up my steak, for example. Like, so, you know, I want you to like be aware of that as we go through this, and be open to some ideas. Regulation around nutrition. Like, I am a nutrition coach, but to be honest, anybody could become a nutrition coach. The only people who are able to prescribe you actual diet plans is a dietitian, and they are, you know, they've done their degree and they're qualified like a physiotherapist would be. So that means that there's loads of people on social media. There's loads of people who can write in the newspaper, Mum, Daily Mail. Yeah, I'm going to bring that up a few times. You know, loads of people, anyone can write anything on nutrition, and no one can say otherwise, because there's no qualification really. You know, anyone can be an expert. Research, and you know, to add to that, research is pretty sketchy. It changes all the time. 1 minute salt's bad for you, next minute it's good. 1 minute saturated fat's bad, next minute it's good. So like, it's obviously evolving. We don't really know. We do know a lot, but we don't know. We haven't proven everything in science. So it's not such a bad thing to look back at people like Hippocrates, who knew that food was a medicine. A lot of like old yoga scripture and things like that. They knew all this stuff about nutrition ages ago, what foods we eat. People are different, so that's quite interesting from the intolerances side. So people like my intolerance test came back with barley, which means no beer. I'm sure like not everyone has that. So, and eggs and dairy, that was things for me. So, and I knew eggs like bloated me, but I just didn't want to admit it, to be honest. So yeah, everyone's different. Everyone can react to food in different ways. We've also got different goals. So then something, you know, with that, it depends. It's going to be the answer to, is something good or bad? It does depend. Like, if you're training for a half Ironman, you need to drink salt in your water, like a lot of salt. If your nutrition's not that great and you need, you know, you probably don't want to actually have that much salt, for example. And like, so there's very, very different things that you can do depending on what your goal is. A lot of people are trying to sell stuff, so products mainly, things that maybe look healthy, made to look healthy and just aren't. And they'll maybe have a nutrition coach like me saying how good it is to, you know, reinforce that sort of white coat syndrome. And then obviously eating disorders are massive, actually. I've obviously had experience of that, and there's a lot of disordered eating, particularly among women, and especially if you like start training and restricting things. So there's, with the eating disorders side of things, we can become disordered with our eating as well. So we can start getting worried about eating certain things. So part of this is to take a day off. Like, when I give you the challenge later, I want you to actually take Sunday off. Don't worry about it. Just eat things that you perhaps aren't in the challenge and be okay with it, because when you avoid something for a long time, you get worried about it. eating it again. So for me, I haven't eaten meat. Well, I have, but I didn't eat meat for about 2 years now. So, and then like when I was like, oh, maybe I'll try some turkey at Christmas, or I'll try a bit of this, bit of that, I was actually a bit worried about it. But obviously nothing happened. I was fine. So that's another thing to be aware of. Don't let that kind of stuff creep in, and don't worry about it. We're very robust as human beings. I mean, if you think about it, like, it's pretty amazing that someone can survive on McDonald's and cigarettes for 20 years. Like, that's incredible. How is that possible? But some people manage it. So we're all right. Has anyone got any questions at this point? Cool. So on the workbook there, I've put down a bit about the mindset side of nutrition. So what I'd like you to do is just kind of forget everything you already know, so that we can start from a base. Answer yourself. The question is, are you really open-minded to try new things? Like, are you open-minded to try not eating meat for 30 days, for example, just to see what happens? Because that's where I think I just try stuff. Like, I just like, right, why everyone's going on about being veggie? I'm just going to try it. Everyone's going on about this thing. I'm just going to try it, see if it works for me, because it might not, and it might be amazing. But then some people are so stuck in their ways that they're never going to try something. So just ask yourself that question, write down and think about it if you're open to trying things. Because and what are you emotional about? Like meat, you know, meat's a big one, isn't it? I'm never going to give up my steak. I'm never going to stop drinking my coffee. I know someone might say that. Yes, you. I'm never going to, you know, do this. Like, it's just, so think about that for yourself. Like, what things just emotionally might be holding you back from even trying this nutrition thing? Do you hold any particular beliefs, like, about what isn't good for you, and like, where do they actually come from? Is it from something you read in the Daily Mail? Is it through experience, or is it just like you have no idea where it came from? It was something your gran told you, and you've just always believed it. So have a think about that as well. What things you've tried before, did it really work, or did I just lose weight? Hopefully you all know, have seen the videos that I've done on just focusing on weight loss as a predominant marker of your progress. It's not a very good one, because if you just want to lose weight, just don't eat for like a week, or just, you know, have cabbage soup, and you will drop muscle and you will drop weight. But obviously you're going to feel terrible. So we don't necessarily just want to lose weight. Like, we will lose weight most likely if that is your goal, but obviously you want to lose body fat, not weight. And obviously there's groups out there who exploit that misknowledge and make a massive business out of it. And even like, I'm hearing adverts on the radio at the moment from the NHS, and even they're saying lose weight. Everything's about lose weight. So we're conditioned quite a lot just to focus on losing weight only. So is that actually the goal, to lose weight, or is the goal to reduce your body fat down to a certain point? So you can answer that yourselves. Yeah, and then the last question is, do I focus on my weight more than my health? I want to get you to try and focus on your health a little bit more. And then the final question there is, if you think you've got any disordered eating, then you don't have to obviously tell me now, but do let me know. And if you think it's an issue, I'd go and get it sorted out before it becomes more of an issue, because it can be very destructive. So yeah, so you can just like go through those yourselves, and if you want to send that to me afterwards, that'd be grand. Okay, the next part of your workbook is the main things that you need to remember for nutrition. So this is a little bit of information for you. What is a calorie? Oh, has anyone got any questions before we go there? My voice is going already. Okay, so calories then. Calorie is just a measure of energy. It is nothing to do with the nutritional value of food. Okay, so something that is low calorie is not necessarily good for you. So the Snacker Jacks, low calorie. Oh, I can just whack a load of Snacker Jacks in. what is the nutritional value of a Snacker Jack? Nothing, probably. Maybe some salt and some, I don't know, flour. So that's something to think about. We kind of are going down that trap a lot. Calories can be used to change your body composition, but not in isolation. So what that means is I've got 100 calories of vegetables, and I've got 100 calories of sugar. If I was to eat if I was just looking at calories, obviously the nutrition I'm going to get from the vegetables is much better for me, my health and my body than the sugar, because there's absolutely no nutritional benefit to eating sugar. There is no nutritional benefit to eating sugar. Okay, remember that. It's just pointless, apart from the fact it tastes nice. That's about the only point. Okay, so as part of this challenge, you don't have to count calories. I don't really want you to, because you're going to have enough things to deal with and think about. Later on, once you've got the good stuff in your diet, if you then want to focus on, okay, I need to dial in a bit more, I'm eating too much, then you can then work out the calories. But calories, they are important, but they're not, we just focus on them too much. Everybody's shouting on social media about calories at the moment, and it's just annoying because it's not really what we should be focusing on, because then you can just eat a hot dog every night, and as long as it's within your calories, you're all right. That's such an old school, stupid way of doing things. We need to be way smarter than that. That's what I reckon. Anyone want to say anything on that, or like, have I pissed anybody off? No. Okay, good. Okay, so micros, which was spelt wrong, micros and macros. What are they? They're macros. So all our food contain macros and micros. So I'm going to use the word micros and macros as we go through it. So you need to know what they are. Macros, proteins, fats, carbs. So most foods have an amount of proteins, an amount of fat, and an amount of carbs in them. Obviously, some foods are higher in certain macros. So eggs have predominantly protein in, but they've also got fat in. Nuts are predominantly fat, but they've also got protein in. Pasta is predominantly carbohydrate and usually doesn't have much else in. So I think, does everybody kind of understand that? That's quite, most people would get that, I think. Obviously, I've got a whole other presentation that I can send to you on the protein. Ellie, I'm just going to mute you. I think it's you. Yes, it is. So protein is the one that your body cannot store. So that is why most people focus on it. There's also been studies on it from fat loss point of view. The more protein you have in your diet, the less you're going to feel hungry, the more satisfied you're going to feel, and things like that. So protein is the one to focus on, particularly when probably for most people, really. It's quite surprising sometimes that people don't get enough protein. But what sources we get that from is also important. So obviously I'm not eating meat at the moment, I'm not even eating eggs. But I can still get enough protein from pulses, legumes, nuts, seeds, things like that. And obviously, as well as getting protein, I'm also getting all these other things called micros. Micros is the vitamin and minerals, which is the good stuff, the stuff that we don't really understand that well, because there's studies done on vitamin D, and maybe it's good for coronavirus, so we should eat more vitamin D and supplement it. And you know, there's tons and tons of those that are good for various things. So as long as we are getting enough color in our diet, and then we're gonna get enough of those vitamins and minerals. Happy with that? Any questions? That's a real basic look at it, but is that cool?
Yeah.
Thumbs up, yeah? Nice. All right, so the perfect diet. So you might be skipping ahead a page. I'll put in there the perfect diet. What is it for you? First thing is calories, but I don't want you to focus on calories, okay? Second thing is, can you actually digest it? So for me, there's no point in trying to eat loads of eggs and barley, because I can't digest it as well. So I need to be able to notice what things are causing my digestibility issues. How do I recognize it? And then just deal with it in a better way. Nutrient quality, so that is focusing more on getting good quality nutrients from good quality micronutrients. So pasta, lots of carbs, not much nutrients. But if I had a butternut squash, I can still get the carbs that I need, but I also got loads and loads of other stuff, like all these vitamins and minerals that are in the butternut squash. So the butternut squash is a much better choice than having pasta. And you can start, do things like spiralize it and swap it out for your pasta. Hydration is also massive. I'll talk a bit more about that later. Palatability. So do you actually like what you're eating? Like, you don't have to eat things you don't like. I don't do that. It doesn't have to be boring, like eating like this. It should be quite nice, actually, because you're going to feel loads better and you're going to enjoy the food. Okay, right. This is right. So your calorie density. So like I say, I don't want you to worry about it too much, but I'm just going to let you know. So this is mine. So BMR is the basal metabolic rate. If you're sat down all day, basal metabolic rate is calculated by your age, I think, and gender and things like that. So that's the calories you burn before you've done any activity or anything else. So that's just the calories you need to survive. Then you add on the calories that you get from your physical activity levels. So again, for me, I'm up and down, I'm around all day doing all sorts of things. Metabolism, you might have a slight higher one, you might not. So that would adjust for that. Your goals, again, if you're training a lot more, then you need to eat more calories, etc. Your diet preference and your macro preference. So I just went into this link here, which is on Precision Nutrition. There's pretty much the guys that I get most of the information from, because I think they're very good. They use science and they've got a lot of experts there. And my eating style is fully plant-based, and I actually prefer to eat more fat than I do carbohydrate, because I'm going long distance for endurance. So again, I won't go too much into that, but that's my preference. So you can use this kind of simplistic way of doing things, using your fists, using your palm and a cupped handful and a thumb for fats. So I'm not that disciplined with this. I don't work it out like that. But if you want to get really more into it, then that's something you can do. All right, are we happy with that? I'm not going to dwell on that too long. Cool. All right, digestibility. I already kind of mentioned this. You might not be able to digest certain things. The things you need to notice for: bloating, gas, skin irritation, autoimmune responses, low energy, especially after you've eaten something. So when you keep your food diary, you can also write in there, oh, I felt really bloated after I had cheese. And surprise, surprise, you're probably intolerant to cheese or dairy. Skin irritations, that's quite common for a lot of people. And Hayden, as you know, his skin's cleared up a lot since he's done his intolerance test. So it's clearly worked quite well for him. There can be delayed responses as well to this sort of stuff. So it might not occur immediately afterwards, but allergies are different to intolerances. So allergies, a lot of people like gluten, they're allergic to gluten. So they've got an actual disease that is different to an intolerant. And intolerance is just a sort of mild reaction. Whereas if you're allergic to something, you're going to have a much more severe reaction. So you would know that. And if you had that, then you would probably have to go to the doctor. Anyone got any questions on that? Cool. Awesome. Make sense? Sweet. Nutrient quality. Yes.
Ben, sorry, just a quick one. To get an intolerance test, is that just a case of making an appointment with your GP?
I've been using a particular company that you send off your blood to, and they do this immune IG test. The science, the research on it is a little bit dodgy, to be honest, but it seems to have worked for me. It seems to work for Hayden. The cheap way of doing it is to keep a diary. And then, like I said, after I ate cheese, I felt like I was about to blow up.
Yeah.
And
could I ask
then
you
just
just to
remove
send,
cheese.
could I ask you to send me through a link for that company?
Yeah.
I'm asking actually on behalf of my oldest son, who basically your slide on digestibility sums him up to a T. He gets bloated, incredibly bad gas, and really bad skin irritations.
Yeah, I mean, the most common ones I've actually put up there are the ones that I had, eggs, dairy, and barley. If you try and remove them for a little while and then reintroduce them, that's sort of like the much cheaper and potentially, but it can be really random as well. Like red beans came up, lots of nuts are quite common. So people are thinking nuts and seeds are good, which they are, but again, it depends, because if you have an intolerance to it, then it can also react quite badly. And pea is also another one that seems to crop up quite a bit. Yeah, I'll do that, no worries. Okay, nutrient quality. So eat the rainbow means, like I said, lots of color, lots of variety, less processed food. In this chart here, you got your burgers and fries and your steak and potato and broccoli. And you can see how much more of pretty much everything you'll get it from the whole foods. As soon as they're processed, loads and loads of stuff is lost in that processing. So particularly your vitamins. Okay, so I think that, you know, it's the same, roughly the same amount, and you can, in fact, this is more calories and a lot more salt. So there's even more here, and there's still not enough. There's still no nutrients. You know, you can leave a McDonald's burger on the shelf for a long time before it starts going moldy. In fact, I don't think it even goes moldy because there's nothing to go moldy in it. There's no stuff there for the bacteria to eat. It's kind of a little bit worrying. Other burger chains are available. Okay, hydration. Really, yeah, particularly on the performance side of things. But when I say performance, I don't just mean what you do in the gym. I mean like your work ability and things like that. So exercise performance in part when an individual is dehydrated by as little as 2% of body weight, and can decrease your work capacity by 30%. That's quite significant. So you're just a little bit, 2% dehydrated, and now your work capacity is down 30%. So that's massive. Like you'll feel it if you don't, just like for most people, if you just drink more water, you'll just have a better life. It's quite simple like that. If you just put like, if you're drinking a lot of water and you're peeing a lot, you can put just the tiniest bit of salt in your water, not even enough to taste it, and that can just help you absorb the water as well, and life will be better. Joints will work better, organs will work better.
Does it stop you peeing if you put salt in it?
Yeah, it will help stop you peeing a bit because you're actually absorbing it. So when I was in Iraq, I was in a very hot warehouse doing in the gym. The gym was in a hot warehouse, and obviously outside as well. And we were just drinking loads and loads of water. I could feel it sloshing, about in my tummy, and that it was just weird. But as soon as I started putting electrolyte, or just the cheap way, it's just a bit of salt, not even enough to taste as normal table salt. It's better if you go for something a bit more posh, like some pink salt. But yeah, it just helps you absorb it slightly bit. Low energy and pain in joints is common signs that you're a bit dehydrated. So, a lot of back pain can be sorted out with better hydration, and a lot of things can actually go down to your hydration. So it's worth it. Happy with that? Sweet. Palatability. Learn to taste. Oh, not learn to taste. Learn to cook tasty food. It's really not that hard. Just have a go at it. Okay. What I'd suggest is you find like a couple of things that you really like, and just stick with that. If you think about what you normally eat, it's actually quite boring. We eat the same thing quite a lot. So introduce something nice, introduce something new, and you know, learn about different flavors. Just give it a go. It can't go that wrong. I mean, it can, but it won't be that bad. So just sprinkle a few herbs in, see what happens. That's what I did. Seems to be all right. Yeah, really important, especially if you're thinking about endurance, the palatability of it, because when you're exercising for a long time and you eat the same thing, it's yeah, you need just like something like a crunch, or it's weird. But yeah, different flavors, different textures, they are quite important. Okay, so I was going to call this the clean eating challenge, but I've changed it to the perfect diet challenge. All right. Anyone got any more questions on anything else in there? Excellent. Okay, so here's the challenge. First of all, we're not setting out to prove anything. We're not setting out to prove you can't do it. We're just going to focus on what you can do. And remember, it is just a challenge. It's just a game. Okay, we're just going to do it for 30 days and see how you feel. That's it. 30 days. All right. Remember why you're doing it. Remember what you're going to gain from it. And it is usually useful to just brief your family and friends who you're probably eating with, to let them know that you are probably not going to be eating this thing for a while, or you're going to be eating this thing, you know, because obviously they're going to want to eat their things, and that's fine. They can do what they want, but just ask for their support. Okay. Might even try it. They might even like it. You never know. Happy with that? Cool. Okay, so first thing to focus on is less processing, so more whole, unprocessed food. Okay, so easiest way, you can go shopping at the moment, can't you? Just avoid the aisles when you're shopping, because it's easy to get tempted to pick up some crisps or little biscuits or whatever. Okay, so just focus on getting what you can from the produce bit, or go to the greengrocers even, get locally, get seasonal foods. If you're getting food that's been flown in, it does lose nutrition in that process as well. So if it's local, if it's come from like field down the road into the shop, it's going to hold it's much fresher. It's going to hold much more of the nutrients. You can eat basically as much veg as you like. Try and focus on non-starchy veg. That means not potatoes and not rice.
No, thank you.
Okay.
No, take cookie away.
Julia, you're muted. You're out. Okay, is that clear? So something I've been trying out at the moment, like I said, don't worry about it too much, but eating more of the butternut squash and sweet potatoes rather than just white potatoes or white rice or pasta. So I actually have replaced all of that carb, which didn't have any nutrients in it, to a carb which has loads of nutrients. You can mash cauliflower, you can mash carrots, you can mash parsnip mash. Is amazing. It's so nice. Parsnip mash with olive oil in it. It's a winner. There's something called celeriac, which looks like an alien vegetable, but that's really nice as well. Has anyone got any ideas, or anyone ever tried any of that sort of stuff?
Okay. Parsnip and like Swede mash is amazing.
Yeah, parsnip and Swede mash.
Mm.
That's good. Cool. So
I do the cauliflower one, and that replaces nearly all the pasta and rice. Yeah,
it's good. And again, it's not necessarily bad, but this is just a little. There's a time and a place for it, and it's just a challenge. Okay. Cool. Right. So that's the first rule of the game. Try and eat whole, unprocessed food. Happy? Second rule of the game. And by the way, if you don't want to specifically do these, don't worry about it. Eat mindfully means enjoy your food. Try and eat slowly, because your first digestive process is your jaw. If you're just gulping it down, you're actually missing out quite an important part of your digestion, which is your teeth and saliva. And just not at your desk, because you're not focused on what you're eating, which means you're probably not going to register it going in. which means you're then going to be hungry again. And if you think about when you're in the cinema and somehow you can manage, you eat like that much popcorn, well, if you were going to sit in a room and just eat that much popcorn, I think it would be really quite hard to do that. I don't know if anyone's ever tried that. Maybe we should. But there's like even just there was an experiment done where they swapped the hands that people were eating the popcorn with, so you actually had to think about it, and now you just eat a lot less popcorn. So that's unmindful eating, and you swap the hand, and now you've actually got to think about it. That's mindful. So that's what it means. Just think about what you're doing when you eat, rather than trying to eat on the go. Eat until you feel full. You don't actually need to finish your plate if you don't worry about it. Just eat until you feel full. Yeah, be comfortable with your food, grateful you've got it, which you'll kind of get that as you focus on it a bit more. You think about the colors, textures and smells and tastes. So that just gives you something to focus on rather than anything else that's going on. And it can take 20 minutes for you to actually register you've eaten. So again, that's another good thing to slow down. A food diary is useful because before you pick up something to snack, you know you've got to write it in the diary, so you won't just do it without thinking. That's kind of quite a useful little tip. All right. Any questions on that? Pretty simple. No TV whilst you're eating. No working while you're eating. Just eating. Just take some time out and go and eat. Cool. That can be quite big on its own, you know. All right. Alcohol. Don't freak out. Okay. It's only for 30 days. 30 days. Alcohol has been associated with lots and lots of things. Obviously, various chronic disease, high blood pressure and cancer. Is it bad? It depends. If you're drinking every night, then yes, it's bad. If you're having a couple of glasses of wine at the weekend, that's fine. But let's just break bad habits. So let's just go 30 days. I'm just gonna not drink and just reintroduce it later in moderation. Anyone want to sign up for that one, or do we want to just like bail out of the Zoom call now and pretend we've lost connection?
Can we start tomorrow?
You got a big night planned. I want the food diaries to start on Monday.
Okay.
So you got the weekend to get it all out your system. Drink the cabinet. Yeah. Find alternatives as well. Like I've tried the 3 things here, like just drink tonic. So if you like gin and tonic, just try the tonic. Dad's just popped into the screen. Is it because I'm talking about alcohol, Dad? Is that why?
Yep, that's it. What's the point in having the tonic without the gin?
Because we're doing a challenge.
Yeah, I know.
You can actually get non-alcoholic gin now. Is that all right?
Yeah, I think it's a waste of money.
Probably.
It doesn't taste of anything. Has anyone tried that?
No, I don't want to waste my money on it.
Yeah, seed lip
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
made
know.
us try it a couple of Christmases ago. It was horrible.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. It's not great. It's just like, I mean, it's just water. It's just it's like water with a little bit of something in it.
You might as well squeeze it.
Yeah, so I just drink tonic and
Well, that's
put a
very
little
cool.
lime in there and put
Good.
an umbrella in. And it's okay, it's great. Coconut water is nice. I like that. Some people don't like it. And posh cordial. So you can get like posh cordials, but just be careful they don't have too much sugar in there. Cool, there you go. Alcohol. Processed sugar. Again, it's like trying to break bad habits, really. Again, not bad, but it is quite clearly associated with heart disease, diabetes, and tooth decay. So just be aware of the different labels for sugar. So you've got dextrose, fructose. Fructose is from fruit. So a lot of corn syrup. Corn syrup is fructose. That's mainly an American thing, really, but we do have it some things. Galactose, glucose. Lactose is in dairy. That's what most people are kind of struggling to digest, is the sugar. Any ose is sugar. Sucrose, maltose. Natural sugar in fruit is okay as long as it is whole fruit and it's not a juice. Because if you have juiced the fruits, you've taken away all the fiber, which would have slowed down the release of sugar into your bloodstream. A lot of this is actually about maintaining a stable blood sugar level. Most of this all of these eating tips really. Alcohol spikes because it's got sugar in it. Obviously processed sugar, processed food is digested way more quickly. So most of these things are about actually just stabilizing your blood sugar level. So when you dip in your blood sugar, that's when you feel hungry, and that's when you're like, when everything goes out the window and you just want to eat everything, that's when you're low blood sugar. I know that happens because it happens to me loads. Okay. Dairy. Like I said, many people are unable to digest dairy, the sugar in the dairy there, lactose. Again, not bad, but could be consumed in moderation. I would suggest just giving it a go. Again, 30 days. See what happens. You might stop farting. It'd be great for everyone. People are hating this, aren't they? Don't take away my cheese. The vegan cheeses are not terrible. So they can be used, but obviously they are processed. I like them because, well, I don't eat them now, but it was nice to kind of make the transition from not eating so much dairy and just having a bit of something just to satisfy that craving. So you could try a little bit of the vegan cheeses out there. They're not terrible. Obviously you got oat milk, almond milk, coconut milk. There's tons of milks out there now, so they're all good. I just drink oat milk now. Love it. Great in coffee. Meat and eggs. Right. So meat and eggs, animal protein, takes a lot of energy to actually digest that protein, which is why when you have a load of meat, that you have that slump of energy afterwards. Most people on social media who are fitness people are encouraging people to eat loads and loads of protein because of that energy expenditure that's used to digest it, so that you're actually eating something and you're getting a free, like, I don't know, 30% or whatever it is calories, because your body is using those 30% of calories to digest the protein. But I think that actually you're knackered, you're losing energy. So what's the point in eating something that takes a load of energy to digest it? So cheap meat as well just contains a lot of shit. So there's a lot of things they put in there to help them grow. What am I trying to say? Steroids and whatever they put in there. So yeah, the main thing I can say about not eating meat and is that I just feel a lot cleaner. I know that sounds like a weird thing to say, but I do feel much better for it. And again, like I say, just stick with it for 30 days. Later on, then introduce it again and see how you feel about it. And maybe just have like a decent steak once a week rather than a shit steak 3 or 4 times a week, or shit beef 3 times, whatever. Because again, that is just going to be way better for you. And it's much better for the environment. Can't get away from that fact. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I am. It is better for the environment. Talk to David Attenborough. There you go. All right. Do not measure or weigh. That's an easy one, isn't it? Unless you weigh yourself every day. Try and break any habits. A lot of people are weighing themselves quite regularly. Again, it gets into your head, and it can cause a bit of worry, anxiety, and things like that. So just enjoy the challenge. Don't bother about weighing yourself. Just start, we'll do all the weighing and measuring before, and then do it afterwards, and then just see what happens. Okay, cool. Caffeine. Emma. All right, again, it's about breaking habits. It's not that it's bad, although it is bad if you have a lot and you solely rely on it for fuel in your body. You may experience a few headaches for a few days if you have a lot of caffeine. Try some herbal teas. You can get some like fresh ginger. Again, you're going to get the anti-inflammatory effects from ginger as well. If you like ginger, lemon, make it strong. So it's kind of gives you that kind of same bitterness as coffee. Give it a go. If you're going to do coffee, then maybe do it over the weekend so you don't have to think about work. the thing with coffee is that you build up and with a lot of these things is that you build up habits. So you have you're going to work, you're low energy, so you have a coffee, but then it becomes that work is associated with coffee rather than you have low energy and it's coffee. So you build up these habits, loops with things like that. So it's not that you have low energy, it's just that you're at work and you need a coffee. Does that make sense? That happens with loads and loads of things. Kind of interesting. All right, I think I've ruined your life enough.
Sorry, Ben. So just going back to the caffeine.
Yes.
What about kombucha? Because sometimes that has a bit of caffeine. I don't drink loads, but I'll have like maybe one, but like a couple times a week, but not loads.
It's up to you. It's up to you. I would say that the main thing is if you're drinking kombucha every hour to stay alive, then perhaps ditch the kombucha. But if you're just having it because it's all right, like green tea's got caffeine in. So the difference between the caffeine in green tea versus coffee is quite interesting. So green tea is much slower and doesn't dive off quite so quickly, whereas coffee is like a big spike. You get the gist of this, you're like woo, and then it's like boom afterwards. So that's the difference between the coffee and the green tea. So you could have a couple of green teas that might take the edge off a bit. The other thing with coffee is caffeine is that in your brain you have all these receptors, and the more coffee you have, the more the receptors need more. So you end up loads and loads, and then you need more coffee, and then it's like a bit of a vicious circle. Also, only kind of covers up the feeling of tiredness. It doesn't actually give you more energy. So that's another thing to think about.
Coffee makes you awesome.
I knew you were going to love this one. We tried this before, didn't we? Ditching coffee, and you were like, "No, I'm not ditching my coffee." Sorry?
Went too far.
If you can't ditch it completely, just reduce it, all right? It's only a challenge. It's just a game. All right, remember the mindset stuff. We're not setting out to prove anything. We're not setting out to prove you can't do it. We're just going to focus on what we can do, not what we can't do. So don't focus on not being able to have coffee. Focus on all the other things you can have, like herbal teas of various flavors, for example. If you're getting your knickers in a twist about not eating meat, just think about what you can eat instead. So there's this thing called Google, and it's got like loads of recipes on it. You'll probably find something you like in there. So have a look. All right, what can you bloody eat then? Eat like a caveman who has a kitchen. Whole foods, obviously. You can blend up stuff as well. Hydrate, pinch of salt, try some new stuff, share recipes. I will be getting some recipes, but I want you to do some research yourself, because if I just give it to you on a plate, then it's much easier. Veggies that have been grown, so with the exception of potatoes, I would suggest not having too many white potatoes because they're big just because of the blood sugar spike. That's all. They're not bad. It's just the blood sugar spike. Starchy veg, so things like sweet potatoes, squash, and carrots. I'm going to mute Dad. There he is. Right. They've got more vitamins, minerals in them. High protein veg, peas. Peas are maybe indigestible for you, so just be aware of that. Broccoli. There's actually loads more than that. I just probably didn't put them on there. Anti-inflammatory foods, beetroot, turmeric, ginger. Try and incorporate them regularly. Again, have a little look at what is an anti-inflammatory food because there's loads of them, and just like you can make some really nice stuff out of all this. Okay, cool. What's next? If you haven't signed up for the rest of the course, sign up for the rest of the course. It's going to be great all year. We're going to focus on this all year. Keep a food diary for the next 7 days, and I will give you individual feedback. So you're going to keep your food diary, you're going to send it to me, and then I'm going to do a video. I'm going to destroy your food diary as we go through it, okay? And then just tear it apart. And I'll give you some constructive feedback as well, probably. Do some research, 2 to 3 like solid breakfast, lunch, and dinner ideas that you really like. You can share it with the group if you like. What I like to do is make loads of dinner so that I have it for lunch, because then it's easy, simple. But I don't mind eating things lots of times, but then we all do. I'm going to I'll have a separate WhatsApp group for anyone who is joining for the rest of the year, and then we can share everything through there. Next group check-in will be in 1 month. I will either do this monthly or I was going to do it bi-monthly, but I think I'm going to change it to monthly, because I think we're going to need just like more Q&A. Yes, nodding, good, cool. Is everyone else keen with that? Monthly rather than bi-monthly? Yeah, all right. And then after 3 months of kind of getting ourselves the perfect diet, we're gonna then focus on what we need to focus on, split away. I need to do fat loss, I need to do performance stuff. So that's the plan for the rest of the year. Has anyone got any questions? Is anyone really upset? Okay, good. No. Is anybody up for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers, Tom.
Right. You needed that.
Cool. It won't be that bad. There you go. Anyone want to say anything else? Speak now, forever hold your peace. And your peas. Oh, Nick, you're muted, I think. All right, sweet. Well, that's it, guys. I can't believe no questions whatsoever. No?
Ben, can you send the presentation out to us?
Ooh, yes. Yeah, I can do. I did record that, so I can. Would you actually just want a presentation slide through?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll do that instead.
I can